Welcome, welcome you and I. We are live at the Nutmeg Tavern, and today's episode's all about Ryan. Ryan's behind the bar.
Hello.
Welcome, Ryan. So glad you're here. And behind the console, making all things technical happen in all their right and proper order, Aaron.
Hey everyone, happy Thursday.
Yes,
Not Friday.
Thursday.
We pulled a fast one on them.
Yeah, we pulled the fast one on you. So if you're not here and you have to watch this in the recordings, sorry, I didn't give you enough warning about this. But turns out some people want to have Friday off. I don't get it. I'm here every day.
Apparently
I don't
we're
get
on right after Natalie and Tara's live stream.
Okay.
Because they do that every Thursday.
Oh.
And somebody just said, I just got done with that one. So they're happy.
Well, excellent. Excellent. So this episode is all about Ryan. Tell us, Ryan, how's it going today?
It's very well. Yeah. I had a couple of great meetings today. Feel accomplished. Working on some hats. Yeah. And now it's time for me to man the bar for these thirsty people.
So how does it feel to be in a cooking episode, Ryan? To be the guy.
Oh.
The guy behind the counter making all things happen.
That was fun. That was really fun. Yeah. I think one comment cracked me up. They said, get this guy a taller island. John can stare on 2 half apples. No, it was a lot of fun. And I think that, I don't know, the recipe was cool. We were able to plate it up in a neat way. So I had a lot of fun with it. Yeah, it was cool.
Yeah, it was odd because we were, kind of chatting 3 or 4 days ago, and they're like, well, hey, what if we just try one of these Townsends Plus episodes, one that Ryan did, especially this egg one. Why don't we just try it on YouTube? And I said, let's go ahead. Let's try it. So I'm really happy with how the response was.
Yeah, me too. Thank you guys so much for all of your kind comments. Thank you for giving me things to work on and for just telling me that I did a good job. Hopefully we'll do another one. That'd be a lot of fun.
I would give him a whole lot more critique if I were you guys. I don't think you gave him nearly hard enough time in the comment section. So next time, you can head over there now and give him some. Okay,
yeah,
don't do that. Say nice.
And the thumbs down come rolling in.
No, I'm super excited by how everyone responded to Ryan's episode. So thank you for that. Today's live stream topic is one that just sort of popped up. It's one I haven't done nearly enough research on. So I'm sure there are folks out there that are like giant history balloon buffs. So, if this is a weird episode for you, well, so be it. But I think it's a wonderful, fun episode to dig in and a topic to dig into because it's one of the things that's happening in the 18th century, late 18th century, early 19th century. And it's this weird, super new technology, and people they're like, they're not sure what's really going on with it. They don't understand where it's going to go, what it's going to turn into. And some people are scared by it. Other people are scoffing at it. There are early adopters who die, things like that. But it's really important to watch how these technologies kind of come into being, how it can take them a long time to truly catch on. And there are some early innovators who are just amazing characters in these stories. Today we see some emerging technologies, and we've seen sort of, things happening more rapidly with emerging technologies than say, lighter or heavier than air travel, or lighter than air travel in this case. But I think there's a lot to learn by watching how people adopt it and are resistant to it. So a lot of great connections. I think we're gonna go and start out with some of the pictures. I might read a couple stories as we see the pictures.
Hey, real quick.
Yeah.
Can we talk? What's that character's name from Chitty Chitty Bang Bang?
Oh
Can we-
yes. The father in Chitty Chitty Bang Bang is Correcticus Potts.
Yeah.
Right.
So there's this ongoing joke around here that's John. That like John is very much like that character, and I told him he could really tap into his inner Mr. Potts for this episode. I think it'll be fun.
I like to build funny, weird machines, and so that's me. I like that. I mean, I haven't strapped rockets to my back yet, but I might. Let's dig into a couple of those images. I don't have these in any great order. I just grabbed them up out of this. There's this wonderful scrapbook that's in archive.org that is Aeronautica, and it's just like little clippings out of newspapers and books and whatnot from the time period. So instead of it being, again, interpreted, we just have these sort of like newspaper clippings and images out of books and all this kind of great stuff. What do you think, Aaron?
Yeah,
you look
real
troubled
quick.
over
Well,
there.
some people are saying they're having some buffer issues. Everything looks good on our end, but I'll keep messing around. Maybe try just refreshing your page and see what happens. So sorry about that. We'll keep.
Internet.
All right, you ready?
Yeah, let's jump into image number 1. This is France, 1814. Most of the stories here are actually earlier than this. This is one of the later pictures, and we've got lots of this. All these balloon things that are happening in the late 18th century, early 19th century are very, very popular with the public. Lots of people want to come out and see these things. Maybe because it's so very scary. I don't know, but generally early on, you do not have sort of females traveling alone in balloons. But in this image, we've got that, and this idea of with flags, carrying flags and it being sort of patriotic is very much a thing. I don't know why. In fact, I think there's a reading later on that talks about flags, which is just like, well, what? Flags? But yep. We got, if you're going to go up in a balloon, make sure you bring your flags along with you. This is one of those experimental pieces. They have this balloon design fairly early on here. They tend to be oiled silk that is sewn together for the balloon structure itself. And here, thankfully, they're just testing this out. It's like, well, let's fill this up with gas, and then we're going to put weights on it and see what happens. Instead of putting people in it, probably not the best idea in the world. But isn't it hilarious that even though they're sort of testing this thing, that they make it pretty, or well, I don't know if you call that pretty, but let's say they decorate it. They could today. We would probably do this sort of experiment, and you'd be the ugliest thing in the universe that was sitting up there. But no, they're gonna make it what they think is ornamental in the time period. So I love, and there's a reference in here too. It's like, well, we got this balloon, and we got the basket underneath. Here they've got a sort of a parachute-y thing above it, just in case maybe. And then they've got these wings, because it's like, well, where are we going to go in this hot air balloon? To go someplace, we need some sort of means of propulsion. So they create like oars with feathers and wings and stuff. It's just great. It's hilarious. I love it. This image, like some of the images in the time period, were colorized after the fact by hand, and we get these great blue. Usually clouds are white, but they reversed it for us. We have blue clouds. Maybe you go up that eye, clouds turn blue.
Hey, real quick,
Yeah.
before I have to refresh my page too because it's just not working. So I want to read these before I lose them. This came in a super chat to the whole crew. Have a great 4th. Enzo is in super chat. Hey guys, sorry I can't be here too long. I just went on break. As soon as my mom saw deviled eggs in the title, she made 4 dozen of them. It's a lot. And then Ashley is in here with Happy Independence Day weekend to all of us. So thank you. You can get back to it now, John.
Thank you very much.
You want to go to the next one?
Go for it, Ryan. Yeah. Here's a close-up of what's going on there. They even have sort of graphical, letters over it to tell you what the individual things are. We've got our sort of umbrella parachute thing. I don't know what it is here, and then our interesting wing apparatus, which is very reminiscent of some of the early airplane wings, but this is a full 100 years before that. I don't know what that looks like. They've even painted the basket so that it looks like some sort of aerial scene. Maybe they thought they would be, better received by whatever was up there when they got there. If they had their basket themed in sort of pooties.
I like it. It reminds me of a parade float.
Yeah, exactly. Here are some images of filling up the balloon. So they had both hot air and hydrogen type balloons. It seems like they talk more about the hydrogen style in most of the things I've been reading, and here they're both doing a hydrogen type. They have some chemical acid eating some kind of metal or whatever, and then hydrogen's the byproduct, and they fill up the balloons this way. It's not easy necessarily to do, and these balloons aren't very big either, but some of the early experimental balloons, they just created sort of weather balloons and then let them go just to see what would happen with them. They weren't making them carry anything. Very, very early on, I think these are just sort of, let's see what happens with this balloon thing, which is good. This is good. You don't want to risk payload before you know what's going to happen. Again, a French image of, you can see this in the center section here is how they're filling that balloon. They have all these spectators. They have this center apparatus with all these chemical barrels that are putting out the hydrogen gas. It goes up that center column and fills the balloon while it sits there on the ground, and then poof, off she goes. And that balloon, we don't get a super close-up of it, but it has this sort of boat underneath to it. And you can kind of see the thing, I think it's a flag that's falling out. There's a story we'll read later on about that sort of thing, too. Yeah, there we go. We get a close-up of, there's a hat falling and a flag falling, and Charles, Charles and Robert here at the top. Charles is one of the early, experimenters in ballooning. Let's see. Air balloon launched from Artillery Ground, London, 1784. They are doing these pretty early experiments here, 1780s. Really, it seems to kick off in the early 1800s, like 1802. But here we certainly have some activity going on here in 1784. Now, I don't think the guy is going up. Maybe he is. But notice he's got with him animals. They're immediately concerned about what happens when whoever's in this balloon goes up. Are they going to die? I mean, we don't know what's going on in the air above us more than, 100 feet or so. What happens when we climb a mountain? What's the air going to be like when we get really high up? And so you were an intrepid person to decide what happens if we go up. Now, early on to do the experiments, they would put animals in the baskets, put them up on a big high rope as test things, okay? Is it going to come back down alive? All that kind of good stuff. Yeah, we'll read some more about this. This is a balloon that's getting attacked by the folks in the countryside. This is French, and we have people wanting to. The dogs are mad at it. The person wants to shoot it. We have a person who's holding their nose because it's probably that the gas that's inside it is stinky, and people are scared of it because it is a really, really, really weird thing. It's not. I mean, there is this. People are used to small balloons, which were actually bladders. So they're used to seeing something rather small, but anything that comes floating down from the sky and is big like that is gonna make people think strange things. Yeah, so here we have one of those early images, the ascent of the aerial balloon on the one side, and it's carrying the lamb and the chicken and a duck. I don't know why they put a chicken and a duck in there when they could just fly away, but at least the sheep is really going to give us an idea about what happens when it comes down again. And then we have it came down again over here on the side. Everybody's freaked out. They're scared. They're falling down. Why is this thing ascending from the sky and it's got a sheep in it? Maybe it's an alien. I don't know what they were thinking there, but there you go. And that's Montgolfier balloon experiment. There's Blanchard's balloon that we saw kind of earlier that was colorized. This one's just a black and white version of the same image.
It's a sight.
It is.
Jeez Louise.
Yeah. I mean, if one was hanging out outside, I'd go up in it.
It kind of looks like what might be the flow on a Disneyland ride with its built-in oars and its little umbrella on top.
Yeah. That would be a ride. And there's this story. I'll read that little text there for you. 1885, Major Money ascended in a balloon of his own construction, which unfortunately burst, and he was precipitated into the German Ocean. For 5 hours, he remained in a situation of imminent suffering and peril, clinging to the wreckage of the balloon, by the aid of which he contrived to keep himself floating. He was picked up by the Argus sloop of war off the coast of Yarmouth. And then the little story off the side there is about he was at a place and they were just experimenting with a balloon. I don't think they were ascending in it. I think they just let the balloon go. But yeah, you don't want to have your balloon stop working over the ocean.
No.
Wasn't there was that guy, it was probably a decade ago, who was gonna cross over the Atlantic by balloon or go around the world by balloon. Do you remember that story? Probably not one of those ones. I don't think that turned out very well either. I think he disappeared, didn't he? Anyway. Was that the last one?
No, there was another one.
Oh yeah. This one's this is the gentleman here is Garnerin. I'm not sure exactly how you say it in French, but a French early aeronaut. And he had this combo thing where he had a balloon and then a parachute. And he'd go up with the balloon, and then he'd get up to a certain height, and then he'd cut loose the balloon and he would parachute down just to double up the trouble. It's not only am I willing to, risk myself with this balloon, but I'm gonna parachute down. And this is sort of the parachute design where you can see the whole thing put together. And there he is with his top hat. Oh yeah, this is sort of, what happens when we go another 20 years, 30 years. The aerial ship, this is 1834. It's got its big paddles to go, and then this big car underneath and a long, slim balloon-shaped idea. We're getting a lot closer to a Zeppelin finally. I don't know how rigid the airframe is up there, or how it's constructed, or ever if they actually did this. But you certainly see multiple images where they're really getting the idea that they can go somewhere with this thing. Not sure how they're going to power these big flapping wings, but you got to start somewhere, right? There we are, back to the beginning. So there we had major money. I'll let you. Do you want to go
sure.
someplace? I'll let you go,
Stuff.
and then we'll do our little
Well,
readings.
first off, James Ellsworth put nutmeg in his homemade macaroni and cheese just now, and
I gotta make that again.
I figured that you would be a proud person to hear that.
I am.
So this was in Super Chat from Max Are Cool. I humbly submit the Townsends Tavern balloon be named Mystery Ship, and John immediately named the vessel's captain.
It could look like a giant nutmeg, the balloon. And then you would...
See, when it said Mystery Ship, I thought of the Mystery Machine from Scooby-Doo.
Oh,
And yeah,
that works.
I'm not going to keep going with that. Does this mean that a Townsend's airship is on the way?
No. I can guarantee you, I am not going to build an experimental balloon.
Da Vinci had some ideas for aircraft. How
He
did
did.
this influence aircraft later on? And you've like spent some time looking at this kind of thing, right? Haven't you?
Sure.
Yeah,
Haven't
so-
you? Don't you make like Da Vinci air, helicopter things and parachutes and whatnot? In
Do
your
I?
spare time, yeah.
I don't. No, I don't. I shoot little foam rockets in the backyard with my kids.
Well, I guess that's what I'll have to do.
So how did the Da Vinci stuff influence aircraft? Air
Oh
travel?
yeah, all these guys are looking at these different designs, and those things are some of those early concepts that keep working on through. Everybody's building on other people's shoulders, even if they're very short people.
When did Americans start celebrating the 4th of July?
I do not have a clue on that particular question. I'm not ready for that, unfortunately.
All right, and then we've got a super chat over here from Sophia that says, "I love this topic. I love this topic. So have my super chat. I certainly feel like I'm going to die every time I fly. Best to you, John, Ryan, and crew." And that catches me up right now.
Hopefully they're talking about airplane flying and not hot air balloon flying. I've never been up in a hot air balloon. Have you guys ever been up in a hot
No, I
air
haven't.
I haven't. I've been in a hot air balloon, but not up in one.
balloon? There you go.
I've been
Probably
in
the
basket.
safest way to...
Right. I felt very secure the whole time. So in Louisville, at the start of like this Derby celebration every year, there's a hot balloon
Hot air
race.
balloon,
And at the end, they like drop sandbags out onto a target, and it's like a big to do every year. It's really cool to see that.
So I'm not how you're sure you race when everybody's just propelled by the wind. And,
Yeah, I think they called the race to make it sound exciting.
Well, there we go.
Right.
Yeah, it's like I don't know. They're all going the same. It's like racing. Marbles.
That's where those propellers come in.
There you go.
They're
Yeah,
flappers.
they're out there.
Yeah.
They got their feather paddles.
What's the name for the fireplace blower? Maybe they've
Bellows. Yeah. It might work. It might work. And of course, there's probably a strategy about how high up you go and whether there's air currents faster at different heights and all that kind of stuff.
This is bringing up a lot of steampunk conversation.
Zeppelins. I'm all about Zeppelins. I like that. So we saw the balloon on the ground and the people attacking it. An unfortunate incident happened at Buckingham Gate on Monday afternoon. A gentleman driving his one-horse chaise, just as Garnerin's balloon appeared, was thrown out with great violence as he turned the corner close by the Horse and the Groom public house. He fell on the back part of his head, which is not good, on the edge of a curbstone. This misfortune was occasioned by the horse taking fright at the concourse of people assembled to see the ascent of the balloon. He was taken to Westminster Hospital. So apparently the horse wasn't freaked out by the balloon, which horses can get freaked out by just about anything.
Right.
Shadow on the ground. But by the great crowd of people. So, the late Duke of Orleans was one of those who ventured up in a balloon, but the valve for the descent was not answering as it ought. So he was going to try to let out some of the air. It didn't work. That's scary. If your balloon keeps going up and up and up, not good. Because maybe it'll go up and it'll take you up where you can't breathe, or maybe it'll burst, or maybe you'll freeze to death. Anyway, so what does he do? Well, everyone who goes up in a balloon, of course, he cut the balloon with a saber, which he happened to have, because when you're going up in a balloon, you need one. And let it come to the ground, which it did gently without accident. I find that hard to believe.
It was just a little hole.
Yeah,
Just a little poke.
Yeah. There's got to be a better way. And that was the end of that one. Yes. Here is a letter from Garnerin. I take the earliest opportunity of informing you that after a very pleasant journey, but the most dangerous descent I ever made on account of the boisterous weather and the vicinity of the sea, we alighted at a distance of 4 miles from this place and 60 from Raleigh. We were only 3/4 of an hour on the way. Tonight I intended to be in London with the balloon, which is all to pieces, as well as the netting, we ourselves all over bruised. Okay, well, he survived, but it sounded like a rough landing. So this Garnerin character, he French. He was early on experimenting with balloons. He was captured at one point when the French and English weren't all that happy with each other. When hostilities ceased, he stayed in England for a while and he did some ascents. And he's the one with the balloon and the parachute thing going on. And here's a description of his parachute. The parachute is made of canvas and about 30 feet in diameter when expanded. In the annexed figure C, sorry you can't see that. Let's see, it represents the surface of the canvas, which was, when it ascended, suspended to the balloon by a rope, passing through a tin pipe, so we could kind of see that pipe thing going on, where the ropes were fixed to the extremities of the parachute, in order to prevent it from opening too wide. So it kind of holds that into, as you wouldn't want it to just sort of whoop, go upside down like a parasol that turns inside out, an umbrella. Anyway, 1 minute before 6 o'clock, the balloon with the parachute attached to it ascended very majestically amid acclamations of thousands and rose to such a great and grand altitude that the numerous spectators viewed it almost perpendicularly with the greatest satisfaction and pleasure. About 10 minutes after ascending, he separated himself from the balloon nearly over Russell Square. The balloon instantly ascended with surprising rapidity, turning upside down, whilst the parachute seemed to descend with great velocity for a half a minute, and then it expanded to the view and for a minute inclined slowly towards the earth. Afterwards, owing to the want of sufficient ballast, Garnerin was tossed from side to side like a pendulum of a clock, sometimes most violently, as represented in the annexed print. That sounds very, very dangerous. So, it ascended very, very quickly. So he apparently had to have this parachute ready to go, because it's like, whoop! And if he hadn't let go, if he hadn't descended from the balloon, it would have taken him up much too rapidly and then possibly bursting. And then, of course, he didn't have the kind of the physics of the parachute figured out. If you can't see the image here. See, the problem here is that there's this pendulum point. So the parachute comes down to the point, and then from the point, the basket is suspended. So it gives you this, you'd have this weird, physics thing going on there where you would have the pendulum effect instead of the lines all going down to the person, which wouldn't do that at all. So I'll bet you he changed the design after that trip.
So folks are wondering if you know when parachutes came on the scene.
Well, these balloons and parachutes are coming in at about the same time.
Yeah, that's what I figured.
First, the balloons are there, kind of mid to late 18th century, and then right there at the end of that, sort of the parachute technology takes off, and multiple different sort of parachute designs are being come up with, are being experimented with. Again, we see a kind of a parachute design with Da Vinci. So, the idea is not new. It's just they're finally getting, first you need the balloon to take you up so you can experiment with a balloon, with the parachute. So this same character, war breaks out with Great Britain, and he travels back to France. He actually flies his balloon, I think, back to Germany. Or not back to, but he flies it to Germany, and he starts to it's how he's making his living. He's going around sort of doing experiments with this. On the 23rd of May, Madame Garnerin, with a Russian lady, ascends in a balloon at Moscow. He's got a wife at some point here. These ladies did not desist from their bold enterprise, though at the instant, a thunderstorm with hail and lightning made it very hazardous. A quarter before 8 o'clock in the evening, they ascended to 5,500 feet. They heard in the air thundering everywhere around them, felt the effects of the electric fluid in the atmosphere, which was full of clouds and rain and agitated by wind. They descended 20 somethings, I don't know what this measurement is, from Moscow. Not without great danger, the Russian lady received a severe contusion by coming against a tree. As the balloon became very heavy from the rain, the female aeronauts had been obliged to throw away all their instruments, even the parachute, when they touched the ground, only 10 pounds of ballast remaining. So Garnerin kind of travels around, but here's this little piece. Garnerin has arrived in Frankfurt from St. Petersburg on his way to Paris. He's been forced to postpone his journey to Constantinople for want of money, having imprudently lost it gambling, all the money that he gained in Russia. I don't think his wife was too happy about that. Unfortunately, there's something right over the text there, so I can't read exactly what she did to him. And then Madame Garnerin has returned from St. Petersburg. During the stay of 12 months in the Russian Empire, she and her husband made 50,000 rubles, or 8,000 pounds, which she carries back to Paris with her in good bills of exchange. Talking money in an upcoming episode, so there you go. So, wow. Whoa. So this isn't only happening in France and with French, although the French seem to be way ahead of everybody else in balloon technology all through this time period. And too true, when you get to, say, early World War I, when, airplanes are just starting to happen, the French were really, really way up there ahead of everybody in their technology at the time. 1785, American News, New York. A balloon was exhibited on the 28th of September last at Philadelphia by Mr. Buffalot, if that's how you say his name. It could be French. This balloon was in the form of a globe divided into 18 ribs, between which was placed blue stripes, elegantly adorned with 13 silver stars, the whole supported by a red crown fixed in the interior part of the balloon. with a dark ground that had the most agreeable effect. See, they're more concerned about what it looks like than it's like, what's the decoration like? We don't know if it, if it does. At 6 o'clock, they began to fill the balloon, which exhibited the most beautiful appearance to a respectable and numerous company. It rose with some difficulty on account of the breeze having entirely failed. However, it ascended most majestically, about 3,000 feet, which distance from the ground it constantly kept until its fall on the Jersey shore, having in the course of 35 minutes traveled 6 miles in the air without any, and the story's cut off. But they apparently just sort of let it go. If it was my balloon, I'd have it on a rope and I'd bring it back down. I don't know. Doesn't make any sense to me. Yes.
People are asking about the fabric that was used. Can you?
Yeah. So most of the descriptions.
I was saying, yeah. I'm interested in that.
You want to make?
They're using.
You want to make one?
Maybe.
I kind of do actually.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, we can make a little one.
it's like very truthfully, I'd kind of like to make one.
Oiled
Oh, yeah.
silk. Oiled silk is what they're using here for the. And when they mean oiled silk, they probably mean like the, when we did the oil cloth.
Yeah.
It's actually paint, so it's
Yeah,
painted
okay.
silk, but you do a very, very thin paint, and it's a very strong but light fabric.
I'm just thinking that maybe we should make that right after we make our boat.
Good idea.
Yeah.
Maybe we could suspend it.
That's
from
what I
the
was.
boat.
Yeah. See.
Great idea.
I'm with you.
Some of the Welsh people, it is said, think that Mr. Barrett's balloon was bewitched, but others are the opinion that he himself was bewitched at the attempting to send it up. However, whatever may be the feelings of Mr. Barrett, the associate balloonist, it's very evident he is not by successfully inflated. I don't know. There's this Barrett character. So 1802, Barrett, I'm not sure what his first name is, Mr. Barrett. He's got a lot of balloon stories. He really wants to do this balloon thing, but he's not very successful at it. Swansea, September 8th, 1802, Barrett, the Greenwich balloonist, is attempting to make the people here believe that his balloon is to ascend on Saturday next, the 11th. The town is full of people and novelties exclusive of the above. The theater is now opened under the management of the veteran masterman, the ventriloquist Lee Sugg, the phantasmagoria, concerts and assemblies, puppet shows, etc., all contribute to our amusement. Mr. Barrett it is said, will ascend with his balloon in a few days from Swansea. He intends to cross the Bristol Channel. It is also said that he's planned some curious machinery to enable him to vary considerably from the direction of the current of the wind, which it is supposed will partially answer the purpose of the steering of the balloon. I don't think that worked for anyone, but they try. Let's see if I can find the one thing. So here's Mr. Barrett. And do we have the time? Okay. Accordingly, last Friday, the 15th instant, on the day fixed, after getting the stage repaired and other materials ready, the day before, we commenced filling precisely at 10 o'clock. And at 12:30, the balloon was sufficiently inflated to barely carry up my own weight. About this time, a cask, which had been just charged with vitriol and water, burst and let out all the materials. This occasioned some delay, as well as a smart breeze which sprung up from the northeast occasioned a rent in the lower part of the balloon. Dude, if the wind is busting your balloon, like on the ground, you don't want to take it up.
Well, but that's the first time that he's had the opportunity to get that kind of speed in his balloon. You don't want to pass that up.
Yeah. Owing to the great strain on the part of the net across it, the silk of the machine to keep it steady. We lost a great deal of gas, but soon repaired this trifling accident. They put more gas in it. About 12:30, can't read the time, I went to my lodging. So his balloon is ready to go. He's like, oh, I better head back to my apartment. I went back to my lodging to get some roast leg of mutton. part of which I secured and put up in my pocket handkerchief. I'm glad he's told us about that. In case I descended where no meat was to be had. He didn't know how far he was going to go. Like maybe to a whole different planet. He wasn't sure. I returned to the field, but in that space of time, about 15 minutes, I could not perceive much alteration in the size of the balloon. I gave directions for the car to be slung as our vitriol was all out and the tubes had run out a little before 3. I got into the car with about 50 pounds of ballast, a bottle of brandy, a pound of a leg of mutton, some bread, flags, etc., all of which I threw out before the balloon began to ascend. But the bottle, he made sure to keep the brandy. He's going to need that. That went soon after to enable me to clear the hedge. So he loaded up his balloon with all this stuff, and then it went, it's like, okay, and he starts throwing everything out so he can go. The populace came up and bore me and the balloon upon their shoulders to the extremity of the field, where I found myself rising gradually for the first time in my life, abandoned to a new element. However, the pleasure I enjoyed in the prospect of the town and its environs, as well as the rising amidst acclamations and applause of near 10,000 people, but it was very short-lived. For at the moment I was whirling around my cap to take leave of the multitude below me, to my very great mortification and disappointment, I found the balloon descending. Which it continued to do until it alighted gently about a field distance, after which it alternately ascended and descended. This poor guy. Here we go. We'll skip to the end. Within 6 miles of the place it first descended. So he came down about 6 miles. It fell gently in the midst of a field. After being up 3 hours, all the while in sight, the balloon was seized by the country people and cut through the middle to let me out, as they alleged.
The jaws of life.
Whom they supposed nearly or quite dead. It's like, he's dead. He's inside there. We got to get him out. Oh.
That's a trip.
Yeah. Barrett and his balloon. So we had lots of fun experiments, and I didn't find any of the stories where the people didn't survive, but that certainly happened. From kind of scratch, so yeah. Sure.
Yeah, you know what? That first thread winding machine, that had a model air. There was a rudder part, right?
Yeah, well, it had servos in it, yeah.
Gotcha.
That you use on airplanes. And also, I went to an engineering camp one time, and we won it's like you were given a certain set amount of balsa wood. Here you go. And, there was you just like make whatever plane you can make out of whatever, whatever you've got here. And ours went the farthest.
Nice. 2 feet. That's pretty neat.
Do we want to talk a little bit about next week's video?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Next week's video. It won't be Monday, because, of course,
Tuesday or
holiday
Wednesday.
stuff. Tuesday or Wednesday.
I'm hoping.
It'll be out next week.
Yeah.
Next week, Tuesday or Wednesday.
Let's let Brandon. Let's let Aaron talk about it. He's excited.
Well,
He's been working on it.
Yeah, it's another kind of mini doc similar to the fish preservation video on kind of the history of money during the time period that we cover. And yeah, I'm very excited about it. It's a lot of B-roll and a lot of
John talking,
but really interesting John talks as usual.
We love when John talks. Everybody does.
Some experimenting with music.
Yeah.
Experimenting with editing and
footage and all that kind of stuff.
I'm excited to release that.
We're really trying to step out of our standard, hey, this is how we make a video, and open up and see what the possibilities are. This platform, YouTube, Townsends Plus, truly we can do incredible things if we just was like, wait, there aren't any rules. We get to make a video however we want to make it, and it's very, very freeing if you can say, wait a minute, I'm going to go ahead and let YouTube do what it does. I mean, at some point you can have a channel like ours and you're like, oh, I'm scared. I don't want to put a particular video out because it'll hurt, it'll hurt things as it goes down the road. But, other times you have to just, it's like, it'll be all right, do it.
And I'm sure a lot of you have seen the fish preservation video, the food that held up a nation. This one's even longer than that. So I'm really excited to share it. And I think everybody was bringing their best for this one, whether it be John's performance or Ryan kind of writing it and the shooting that everyone did. And I'm really proud of the cut, and I'm excited to be done with it and release it.
And the great part is it's such a really, really important topic for not only the 18th century, but for the 21st century, right? So it's a wonderful topic to really dig into, to understand. Mm-hmm. There's a lot to learn, and a lot that it means to us through history. So
it's one of those that I'll probably be shooting footage for it the day it comes out.
Right. And we will also be probably doing sort of inset videos that aren't the giant topic, but more information on particular parts of that.
Yeah, this one could be really big, as far as it kind of like opens up a concept, and then we could go further into that if we want to.
Pieces,
But yeah, thank you so much for all the views that you've given to fish preservation. These long form videos really make it feel like everybody gets to exercise their talents in creating these videos. Everybody here, so it's a lot of fun.
It stretches us, and it's great. It's really good.
Yep. Really excited.
All right, guys, we are headed into wrap up time.
Wrap up. I don't have the recipe that we'll never do. Darn.
The eggs that Ryan did.
Yeah, deviled eggs.
Yeah,
that you'll never do.
That's right. The recipe I'll never do. I'll Ryan do it.
Hey, we just had a super chat come in from John Talley.
There he is.
I love the work you guys put in on your videos. It must take a lot of time. How much work it goes in on editing process and putting those together? Who is in charge of that? Whoever that is deserves a raise.
Yes, I agree.
No, come on, guys.
I do agree with that.
Let's not go crazy here. The process is very interesting and changes all the time. I mean, it really depends on the kind of video. Who's coming up with the concept, and it's not always me. Sometimes it's Ryan. Sometimes it's whoever's coming up with the concept. And I mean, now we have Townsends Plus things. We'll have 3 people that might shoot it. So Aaron will do sort of YouTube videos, and then Caleb will do some, and William does some, and then there's all the editing that's going on. And generally, you kind of have that, the person who edits it has their own. If they're the person who shot it, hopefully they know what the shots they want, and it sort of edits in your head before you even start it. Go ahead, Aaron.
Well, it all depends on the kind of video that we're doing. Like John said, usually at this point, a cooking episode, that's pretty, I don't want to say easy to edit, but at this point we've done so many. But this money video we're doing and the fish preservation video we did, I mean, that took days and days. You could take up almost a week to take all that footage and cut it together. But usually myself and Caleb and William, we're pretty good about kind of seeing it in our head how we want it to be edited, and that's very helpful when you actually go to start physically cutting it.
Yeah, we've shot them in the past where you just get a whole bunch of footage. But that, I mean, there's less work up front in planning, but a ton of work on the backside saying, okay, how am I going to turn this into an episode?
Yeah.
So now with the Townsends Plus schedule and the YouTube schedule, it's not uncommon for us to be working on 3 or 4 videos at a time.
Yeah, that's what's happening
kind of
right now.
Every week.
So,
and there's some simple ones that I will just set up by myself, like a reading where I'm doing Peter Kalm do we know when Peter Kalms are going to start coming out?
We can't really talk about that just yet, but hopefully
we can't talk about it. Yeah. So, Bark Covered House, Peter Kalms. Some of those they're just me, and I'll set up cameras and then just hand the footage over, and they'll cut it all up. But
summarize it like this: some you can get done in 2 hours.
Right.
Some will take
2 weeks,
5 work days. It just depends.
So Enzo Vinci's in Super Chat. Hey guys, sorry for the quick off-topic question. Will you guys be at the indie reenactments this year? Perhaps a fort. We would love to meet you guys. I think that for me, the only one that I know for sure is Mrs. Cinema 1812 in Marion, Indiana in October.
Yeah.
And who knows past that.
Yeah, right now we're so busy with kind of what's happening here and now that it's hard for us to say, oh, we're going to go to this event or that event.
Yep. But if we do decide to go to one, even if it's a couple days' notice, we will make sure to let folks know.
Yeah, we'll try to.
All right.
Good, yeah.
That's incredible. Are we done? You're done there.
that's it.
I'm done here. We've done it. We've done it. And I can't imagine hot air balloons in the Nutmeg Tavern, but we managed to make it happen today. What we do here is it's weird, it's niche, but it's a lot of fun. I really, really enjoy being able to come into the Nutmeg Tavern and kind of bring any topic that relates, and we talk about it, kind of bounce it back and forth, talk about the funny parts, and there are really, really interesting things that are happening here in history. We could dig in, a mile deep, and it just gets more interesting as you go. Some of these characters we talked about here, there's probably entire books written about them because they're just hilarious things happening and great stories. So much to learn. And you guys are part of helping all this happen. So whether it's watching our videos, commenting on them, sharing them, and then the great folks who support us with the kind of material support it takes to have people edit videos and do all that kind of research, whether it's on Patreon, Townsends Plus, and PayPal or merch, whatever that is. I want to thank everyone for your incredible support so that I can do things that I never thought were possible. You guys make it happen. Thank you, Ryan. Thank you, Aaron. And I hope you have a wonderful weekend. Thanks for watching.